Hello guys, Patrick here, Eggnoc Poker, and we're going to be going straight into part 2. So again, for anyone who's not sure, please, who hasn't seen it, jump onto part 1 before you see this. And what are we on? We are on 10nl. It's called Fast Forward on PokerStars with Mr. Trueteller69. So let's jump back in. So Jack 9 suited, okay. Ace Queen off. I would love to see an open. Yes, please. Again, it just comes down to it, doesn't it? Like, at these stakes, I kind of prefer just like, I almost prefer just sort of oversea betting. Like, I think like just small consistency betting is just absolutely king at like 2nl to 10nl. I just think it's like so good to have a really heavy c-bet strategy for a small size. Mostly folding queen jack off unless you know that the guy's over folding to 3-bets. I'll try not to pause the video too much. I feel like I pause way too much to talk about analysis, so I'm going to try not to touch the pause button too much this time. Easy fold 9-3. So it's interesting, you snap folded the deuces this time, but you kind of quickly opened them last time. So again, I'm assuming you must have had some kind of read on the opponents you were against. Pocket kings, that's a good hand. Easy open jack 10, easy 3-bet with the kings. 1 point to note, just exploitatively, because you've got a shorter stack player here opening in early position, this is mostly value heavy, right? So because you got kings, I know he's shorter, which means you could argue for going slightly smaller. I would still go bigger. I actually think you're better off going like 9, 10, even 11, which is really big. But just because you're attacking UTG/hijack recreational players, they don't tend to fold very often. So you want to, and that you've got a hand that really wants to be called. So I would go large and get the maximum value from their sort of tighter opening ranges. How do you open like cut off button? It's a little bit different, but when they open early position, I would absolutely maximize that. And that the inelasticity, if I can say it properly, the inelastic calling ranges versus early tight position recreational players, just get the most from it. Like, I'm not suggesting you have to go millions, but like, this is completely fine, but I think you could probably go 9, 10, 11. I really do. The hands I played in the challenge, I'm really starting to think that I could get more and reduce that SBR quickly. But we can get all the money by the river easily anyway, but I think I would probably exploitatively gone a little bit bigger. But that's just something, that's just me, but there's nothing wrong with this size at all. Table 2, we open the jack 10. I believe we bet small, we got called. I would just be continuing to bet the turn. I think we get value from enough hands. I don't know about this check. I think again, just against micro stakes where people don't check raise enough and don't put you. He's not going to have like 8, 9 of diamonds and then just have a massive turn raise and put you in the bin. I don't think he's going to do that enough of the time. So I'd just be mostly betting. Table 1, I'd love to see against a recreational who's called open early position, called a 3-bet, and you unblock diamonds. I would just be betting big. If this guy's got 2 pair of set or whatever, he's going to win the money. He's short stacked. I'd be going really big. I'd be like basically like 80, 90% and then jamming turns. That's mostly what I'd be doing. Potentially even diamond turns because this guy's still going to have like 9s, 10s, jacks, queens. So I'd be going bigger than this. I think really we should be going massive. So jack 10, so we check call the turn. That's fine. I think we should be checking. And we just really have to call this river, I believe, on table 2. Get jammed. We love it. Snap call. Yes, please, on table 1. We crush everything. Oh, don't crush aces, though. Oh, dear. What can you do? He's got it in with aces, and he's going to cash out. Boo. Easy call, that table 2, with the jack. Nicely done. Can we see what he had? Oh, does this guy just check back and we win? Oh, he does just check back. Okay, fine. Sorry, I thought he bet and we called. Easy fold, 9-8. As is a queen 9, just a little bit too thin. Nine deuce. It depends. If you've got someone who's over folding, then you could potentially open wider, but mostly a fold. Easy open ace jack. I suppose because we're 5-handed, table 1, 4-5 suited is closer to the cutoff, isn't it, rather than hijack. Again, though, like I wouldn't open these pure, especially the low end connectors. But if you know people are folding a lot and are quite passive, then I would open them more. So table 2, ace jack. Again, like it's like you could definitely. It depends what you want to do because you need to know what the populations tend to do against you. If the populations are extremely passive, then it's like when you've got top end showdown value, it's kind of like you don't really need to suggest like you have any kind of like balance strategy with c betting, like betting range or betting like a certain size all the time. It just comes down to how do you make the most money, really. Like I don't like if the guy has a hand like 9-10, Jack-9, Jack-10, and or some backdoors or like King-10 of hearts and has some check raises, then betting a hand like this pure is a disaster. When you have a hand like, you know, like 6-7, 9-7, 9-10, King-10 yourself, it makes more sense to just range to bet those parts of your range pure. A hand like ace-jack, it's like I don't hate betting here. I'm just thinking exploitatively, right, rather than just pure GTO strategy. I just think this is like I prefer just checking and allowing villains to just bet most of the hands. Like the hands you get value from are hands like Jack-9, Jack-10, for example. There are other ones, but like we block those, and if we do ever get check raised by some kind of like backdoor hand, we just have to fold. So I'd be betting small or checking, but I would prefer to just check back a hand as decent as ace-jack here, especially against the big blind who's just going to be calling a lot of hands that we just have beat, for example, and then they're going to bluff those on turns, which we can call. Anyway, so blabbering out the way. This guy's in the tank. He does eventually fold. I think he had a really small pocket pair and decided to fold versus large. That's my opinion. What happened here? Did the button limp and we limped the big blind. So I'll be honest with you. I'm going to, on the flip side of what we said with table 2 with the last hand, now on table 1, when the button limps and we check the big blind, that's fine. I like that. Check, flop, that's fine. I just think, like, I don't know. I'm just going to assume that villains don't limp ace-x. I would assume that they just raise, I would assume they just open ace-5 off, ace-4 off, that rather than limp them on the button. That's my opinion. So I would assume this ace is like mostly a brick. So I would just turn this into a bluff and just bet. I would just pot this on the turn and bet a lot of rivers. Personally, I just think we're just going to win this almost every single time by betting turn and river. Checking is okay, I suppose, but I don't like the idea of just checking, allowing this guy just to win 100% of the time. I know we have no direct equity. We are completely over bluffing, but I think you'd be surprised at how much you win on table 1, in my opinion. 3-bet the ace king. That's looking good. You could potentially have some calls some of the time, but again, it's probably better just to 3-bet. If you know your people are over folding, then you could potentially have some calls, or if you know that like villains are very nut heavy when they continue, so they either 4-bet you with better or don't call with much worse, except specifically like ace-queen suited, and don't do a lot of money in post-flop, then sometimes calling hands like ace-king could be better. But, you know, mostly we are just 3-betting for value, obviously. Everyone's in the tank. So our villain does decide to defend. I suppose we've got a decision now, don't we, whether we want to continue betting or checking. So we do have a backdoor flush draw. We have the 2 overs. I think, to be honest with you, it just comes down like 3-bet pot, small blind versus UTG. Like both villain and hero are going to have hands like pocket 8s, pocket jacks. I mean, we do call jacks and we don't always 3-bet them, right? But he's not always going to call versus 3-bet either. Both going to have jacks, both going to have queens. We have more kings and aces. I suppose we have like more combinations of nut flush draws because we have more hands like ace-king suited, I suppose, or like ace-4 suited, ace-8, ace-5 suited, and so on that we 3-bet. So we've got more of those. Villain doesn't sort of, I mean, the only other potential combos I suppose UTG can have that we don't is more hands like 4-5 suited, 6-7 suited, 5-6 suited that they open at very low frequency and call technically, but again, like it's 10 and L, right? So this villain's most likely range is going to be five, like for value, is going to be fives, eights, jacks, ace jack suited, king jack suited, things like that, right? So it's like when you're thinking exploitatively, because you can't narrow a guy's range down at micro stakes, because every single person is going to have a different range, right? They're going to play different ways, they're going to deviate in a lot of other ways, they're going to be very volatile, they're not always going to have the same range, and you can't just determine exactly what you're going to do against them. So I'm just trying to think exploitatively, like, what do we really technically want to pick as a size here? Do we even want to bet at all? So when you block lots of his hands, like ace 10 of spades, ace queen of spades, like he's got, and then I suppose depending on the opponent, some other nut flush combos, but you block hands that you beat that you want him to semi bluff with, which is kind of annoying. But on the flip side, we do also block some value, so we do also block king jack suited, which is also potentially good. I think really on the jack x board, small blind backdoor flush draw with a spade, I think this combo would, I think especially like at micro stakes, I would prefer just to bet, like personally. I think anywhere, again, like I'd prefer to mainly bet around sort of third to half at these stakes, because I think it just the hands perform better in flow by just being the aggressor more consistently, and you're trading that versus being raised more, right? But because you don't get raised, it's just better to be the aggressor. If they might potentially bluff or semi bluff or just do weird stuff against check more than they do binning over aggression, then you're better off just being aggressive. So I would just prefer to see a c-bet here than a check, personally. Like I would just go, personally, if I was here, I would just bet a third. I just think it makes life easy, and we just do loads of turn barreling, and we can do loads of bluffing on spades. We can bet a queen, for example. We can bet a 10. We can just do loads of things, right? What happens here? So we get min raised now. So because we've taken a slightly smaller size, we haven't gone third, I suppose, but we've gone less than half here. Against a min raise, I don't think you can fold. Had we gone like a little bit bigger ourselves and got raised, or had villain raised larger, I think we would probably just fold, personally, because we're out of position. It's just really difficult. And also villain, if he has hands like flush draws or sets, we're just fucked either way. Like if a spade comes, we're just going to do it. We're going to try and bluff into hands that aren't going to fold, like flushes, for example. And then other parts of his value range are going to be hands like eights and jacks and ace jack suited, etc. So I think against this, if we knew that this guy's extremely tight, I would just fold. I think it's really easy. If we don't have any information versus this size, like I just think he goes bigger with value. So this is weird. It could be more hands like 9-10 suited, I suppose. There could be some flush draws in here potentially. Might have 6-7 suited. Maybe he has a hand like king 9 suited. It depends on the opponent. I think what I would do here is if I know that this guy is quite tight, I would just fold. I don't think I would raise. I don't think I would 3-bet this flop. I think I would just call against this or fold. That's what I would do. But if I'm going to call, I need to know that I can potentially bluff some turns versus check. But it still makes the hand very tricky to play. So I think really we'd just be mainly folding, honestly. I think I would fold here like 80-90% of the time, something like that. Maybe call a very, very small amount of the time versus like a small size. See what happens. We are in the tank. Okay, so we go for the call. So if we're calling here, we're assuming that we can beat some hands like King X of spades, Queen Jack of spades, for example. And then when the times villain has like a set, we might potentially be able to bluff some spades. Or that's what your assumption has to be if you're going to bet call ace high here with a nut spade. Do you see? Like, this is okay to do this, but you must know this rather than just going, oh, I'm just going to bet because I'm just going to bet for no reason. And then I'm going to get raised and, oh, it's a small size. I've got ace high. I'll just call and then maybe we'll see. You see what I'm saying? As long as there's a thought process in place, it's fine. If this is just betting and calling for the sake of it versus small sizes, then it can be quite troublesome. Because if villain was bluffing with a flush draw, he's now made a flush, which means our raises with the ace of spades are somewhat irrelevant, right? Because he's not going to fold a flush. If he's got a set, he's going to continue turn, potentially river anyway, and we're doing it in, you see? But if you know that villain, we beat some potential bluffs from villain, and we know that we could potentially bluff them, then I suppose it is okay versus a small raise size, but it's very tricky out of position. It's better in position to do this rather than out of position. Anyway, let's see how we go. Interesting hand, though. Very interesting hand. I would consider leading this potentially, and then like you could lead this for say a third, and then jam river, or you could check raise turn, or you could check and see if villain checks back, and then bluff jam river. Like I would decide on one of those lines to choose. So let's see what our hero does. Our hero checks. Okay. So villain snap checks, which is really, 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 really good for us. So that's now starting to say, because we blocked the nut flush, right? His flushes don't snap check this, especially at micro stakes. His flushes are going to bet. They're not going to check back. If they were going to check back, they would be the nut flushes. That if you want an exploit for micro stakes, it's that one. So personally, the best hand I think this guy can have is jacks, eights, or fives. And I don't think he's got anything else. Like I don't think he's even I mean, he could have ace jack, I suppose. Like he could potentially have that, but they don't raise that at micro stakes. So this guy's mainly representing. He's either got you dead with a trap flush, but I just don't think they have that. I just don't think he's got a flush. I think you could just bin a set. I really do, or like ace jack, or just whatever toilet silly thing he's doing. We have the ace of spades. I would just love to see a shove. Honestly, I don't think there's anything to do here than shove. I'm trying to potentially think if you could bet like a third or something like that, but I just don't think he gets the job done because he's just going to have a very easy decision then, isn't he? If he's got ace jack or king jack, I mean, you block some, but he's going to have an easy decision. If you had a flush here, you would just want to stack other flushes. You would want to try and stack other hands, you know? I would just shove. I think it's just shove. As played, I think this is going to work almost every single time. I would love to see a shove. That's what I want to see you do. Let's have a look. Oh, no. Yes. Yes. Do it. Yes. Good man. Fucking good man. I really hope this guy folds now. I bet you he's going to tank fold and fold a set. I really hope that this works out for you because you've had the heart. I mean, I would have probably just folded flop, right? But you had the heart to call and float out of position. You had the heart to go all in on the river. This guy's tanking. He's got a set of eights or a set of jacks. He's like, fuck. Come on, fold. Fold. He's not going to fold, is he? He's going to call. Thinking. Yes! Well done, mate. Nice shove. See, if you're going to... I would have mainly... As I said, I'm not going to say it again, but I would have mainly folded the flop personally, but you went with it. At least you went with it, right? If you had checked that river or bet really small, I would have been really sad, but you went with it. So, good man. Good man. Yes. And then we go back to having really shitty hands. Again, get yourself a fast fold button, bro. It just makes life so much easier. You'd actually be surprised how many more hands per hour you can get in by fast folding. So what happened here? We opened the king 9 off in the small blind. So again, we just have like you would be doing quite a decent amount of checking, but I just think micro stakes like just go ahead and bet. They literally just go ahead and bet small and just barrel loads of turns. Excuse me, because I just think they don't call enough on the flop. They don't call enough on the turn. They just fold loads on the flop, loads on the turn. They don't raise you. Just put pressure on. I would just go ahead and bet. I'm not faulting you for checking because you will be doing some checking strategically, but just bet, bro. Like, I honestly, just go ahead and see bet. Just bet loads of turns. You could bet an 8. You could bet a 10. You could bet a king. You could bet an ace. Go for it. I would just bet personally. I suppose you could technically argue for a range bet table 2 on the ace queen 7, but you're four-handed. I think I don't study much three-handed, let alone four-handed, so it probably is just a very good check, I would assume. And I'd be checking turn. Problem is this on table 1, isn't it? I know you've got no direct equity, but it's just like they just bet when you check. So it's like, and then they just fold when you bet, and then they fold a lot on turns when you continue betting. So you do redline a lot. So I would just personally be betting rather than sort of checking and folding to bet. I wouldn't check raise. I don't hate this because I know what you're doing. You're basically saying, look, I'm going to check here because this hand's not really got direct equity. Yes, you've got like a backdoor straight draw. You've got an over. And so I just, if I was going to check raise, like I would mainly be check raising for value like 6-7, 6 is ace jack, king jack, and then if I was going to find some bluffs, I would find more direct equity hands like that. A block. I mean, you've got a 9, so you block 8-9, but I'd rather have 8-9 personally if I was going to check raise rather than this, because if we get called, it makes it a little bit more tricky. You're kind of preying on the fact that you're hoping now that he's just completely bluffing. Or he may just like sort of bet fold like a 6 or something. But personally, I'd rather bet flop, bet turn than sort of check raise this aggressively as a bluff. At these stakes, I think it just makes life easier. Table 2's check round. I was going to say I would consider maybe bet like 1 big blind against a 7. But with a backdoor flush coming in four-handed, I think this is just a clear check table 2. Also, if you're going to check raise, potentially... Oh, no, you did go sort of roughly 3.5, 4x. It's okay. Could have mainly gone bigger, but I think it's probably okay. Easy fold table 2, no hero calls. Ace 4 suited, you could potentially consider 3-betting, but I've just realised this guy's a short stack recreational. Easy call. We don't want to 3-bet and get 4-bet. Also, again, earlier position open. We don't really, you know, this would be a decent hand to have as a bluff, but not against a short stack early position. Yeah, I prefer calling. I like it. That guy snap checked. Really terrible turn card. I'll be checking again. I would mainly be calling. I think villain's got a decent amount of like ace king, king queen, king 10, etc. River, there's only 9 bigs in there the way this is played, so I'd be trying to get a check raise in personally rather than a donk. I think donking is okay against a rec, but if he's got a king, yeah, I don't see him ever checking it back as a recreational, so I like it. And we can go for a nice easy check raise. Hope he gets value from like king queen, king 10. Snap fold, sadly, but I like that. That was well played. I want to sit up, but at the same time, my head kind of takes over the screen, so kind of fucking. What is this? Less than a min. It's cool. Don't know what this donut's doing. We just have to fold, I think. The board's too dynamic. So I want to say something. So when easy open ace 2 suited and versus a shorter stack recreation who would 3-bet, it would be a fold. But versus the size pre-flop, you can never fold, right? Obviously, very easy call. You've got the backdoor straight and flush draw, but against large size recreational short stacked, like this is not a player with a strong consistent range. This is not like, this is a volatile type player. You just want to have king queen here, you want to have queen jack, you want to have 9-10, you want to have like ace 10 of diamonds, you want to have jacks, you want to have like king queen, ace queen, whatever. Do you see what I'm saying? You want to have loads of good hands to continue versus the 3-bet with the shorter stack players. Like this is easy for, I mean, you're probably just going to snap fold, I would assume, but I'm just saying, like, it's don't get sucked in. Easy call pre, I suppose, but on the flop, don't get sucked in, guys. Especially against the low stacks. If he has 100 bigs, you know, you can float that turn, right? But short stacked, it's just a very easy fold. On the flop, that is. Obviously not pre-flop. I was wondering why their video's not working. It's because I pressed pause because I'm a donut. So we would be mostly, I mean, I know this is a recreational player. Again, like, I'm just going to go with, like, just again, give a bit of information. Strategically, against these sort of mid to late position flats, I know this is a recreational calling and a hijack or whatever, but you would be doing mostly checking strategically. But I love betting exploitatively versus recreationals here. Just don't let him check back and don't let him realize. Just get value for your hand. Like, you've got a decent top pair. Like, just bet. You know, you get called by anything. Recreational short stackers are the guys that you want to just bet against. You don't want to check and let them blow up. Just bet for value and protect your hand. Get some protection at the same time. Nice. I'd be betting again. We only lose to 9-7 on the turn. We still beat all worse hands. We beat 4-5, ace-4, ace-5, turn spade draws. We now beat a hand like 10-8 of spades or just 10-8 of clubs that may have called. Would be we still beat, I suppose, worst 9s, 9-8, 9. I mean, it's a recreational, isn't it? 10-9. Just bet, bro. Like, you could just have like king queen of diamonds, for example. Just bet. I don't like the check. I'm not going to lie. I think we should just be betting. I know why you're pot controlling, but I would just be betting. Carrying on the turn with our open-ender. I like it. We can potentially bluff some hearts as well. So what happened here? Sorry, I'm trying to keep up. So we opened the 8-9 suit, 8-9 offsuit. Sorry, they called. We bet just under half. That's fine. They called. We picked up the open-ender. We bet 2/3. They called. So the range is going to have a decent... with our hand, like we're blocking some of the flush draws and straight draw combos and backdoor combos. So I would assume this guy's got more 10x here. So we need a really good, aggressive, heavy river card to bluff with. So the interesting thing is, like, we brick the river and we block hands that we kind of want villain to have. Like, we want villain to have, like, Jack 9 of hearts. We want villain to have, like... I suppose it's like Queen 9 of hearts, like overs and backdoors. So we kind of like block straight draw and flush draws. So this is a bad combo to bluff with. The thing is, the king is really good for us. As in, like, if we were betting a hand like ace, king, king, queen on the turn, with or without a flush draw or whatnot, we've hit a really heavy card. The only way this guy can get here with a king is if he's got king x of hearts, which didn't 3-bet pre. Or, and then he's got a hand like king 10. And if he's got hands like 9-10, queen 10, jack 10, I'm trying to think, like, recreational... Well, sorry, this guy doesn't have to be a recreational player, sorry. But micro-stakes players really don't like calling the third barrel when that overcard comes, when you're the aggressor, and he's kind of capped. Like, I'll be honest with you, if the question is literally, can this guy call with a hand worse than, like... ace 10, king 10. So say, for example, he's got queen 10 and below. Does he fold those? If the answer is yes, at almost full frequency, to like a really big bet here, like 90% or over bet or just very heavy, then I would love this bluff, like, because we've just got 9 high. So we could just have like ace king, king queen, king jack with a heart, without a heart, that we bet, we barreled, we hit, you know. If you just go 30 here, and it works like 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10 plus, I would go heavy on this river always and not be afraid of over bluffing. I mean, your combos, you block folds, which is irritating, but you got 9 high. I would love to see 30 here. Like, that's what I would do. I would go 30. You decide. If you want to call with a hand like queen 10, jack 10, 9, 10, we'll see, you know. I suppose you could argue for going small as well, potentially, but you block backdoor flush draws and straight draws, so it's most likely a 10, really. So I would love to go big. I love it. I absolutely love it. I love this size. I think it's fantastic. And you get jammed on and punished. I think this is really good, though. I love it. Honestly, I think your size is fantastic. I think it's just very unlucky that you've just run into it. I think his played, this guy's almost exclusively got king 10. Or he just slow played threes or deuces for infinity, but it looks like king 10 is played. That's unfortunate. Excuse me. Trying to think with this table. I'm just flicking through with this table too. Okay. So we opened jack 9 suited. We bet the flop. He called. We check called the turn. Okay. I would prefer betting, but fuck it. Okay, whatever. We called. We check called. Versus the river, the ace is a pure brick. If he's got, well, not pure brick, he can have 4-5 suited. But if he calls a 4-5 suited, hits the river, he wins. He's got all flush draws. He's got all worse weird hands. Weird low stack volatile player. Call. Easy call. Call. I'm just gonna skip forward there a little bit because I know he was tanking. Okay, please don't fold this. Like, just call it. We just beat loads of hands. The ace is very difficult for him to have ace x. If he's got ace x of spades or 4-5 or like ace 3 of diamonds or something, then he's going ace 3 of spades or hearts or whatnot, then he's gonna win. But you just win here too often, and you've shown weakness, and he's a recreational volatile player. Call. Just don't fold. We're thinking about it. Cool. Ta-da. Good man. I don't want this video to be any longer than 35 minutes, and I know there's 6 minutes left in the video, so I might have to do some skipping. We'll see how we go. King 7 off, ace king. I think we're going to be opening, obviously, versus this UTG limp. I like the 5x. A little bit bigger. I like it. Ace king again. Three bet, please, especially considering we're suited. I think I much prefer pure three betting the ace king suited and then potentially having some trap calls with ace king off, but ace king suited is just a lovely hand to just bet, really. So ace king suited. Very, very quickly then. So when we're thinking about sizings, again, this comes down to like GTO versus exploitative, doesn't it? GTO just gets wrapped up and thrown out the window for most cases at like NL10. It's just exploitative. We don't block this thing. This is one relevant thing. We don't block any nutted queen X. We have ace king of hearts with the queen of hearts on the board. We don't block any queen X. We don't block king queen of diamonds. We don't block ace queen of spades and whatnot. So. And villain should have ace queen, king queen, queen jack suited, queen 10 suited, depending on the opponent type. He's going to also have loads of hands that can fold, loads of hands that can bet. I still prefer just betting pure. I just think in 3-bet pots especially, just c-bet a third. It's just makes life easy. He just folds the hand he's going to fold. He raises the hand he's going to raise with. And it just keeps you control of the pot rather than checking and facing lots of float betting when checked too, by sort of weird volatile players. I mean, personally, like, again, we should mostly be betting. If we're going to bet, we should mostly be betting big or checking. But I think personally, a third would just suffice and be optimal for the stakes that you're playing against. Yeah, I like 6. That's fine. We need to do a decent amount of barreling on turn potentially as well. Again, like ace king of hearts blocks no value, so it's a bit awkward. But if you're going to bet small and often, you should do a decent amount of turn betting. Checking is okay, by the way, but I would probably just be betting again, just to sort of put massive pressure on like 9s, 10s, jacks, 7s, like 8, 9 suited, for example, like ace 10 of spades that may bluff this river because you've checked turn, things like that, for example. So I think I like betting flop and continuing turn and then checking river. Now that you've hit the king, like, so because we don't block any queen X on the flop and turn, it's like, and he didn't bet turn either. I'm just trying to think. I think other combos that block his like calls. Oh, sorry, I'm talking out my arse here. I'm trying to think from an exploitative mindset rather than any kind of strategy. The problem is it's just so hard to get called by worse. Like, this guy's got to have like specifically king 10 or king jack of spades or like ace queen that didn't bet the turn. This guy just looks like he has a pair of 10s or jacks. Because, you know, I'm thinking like your combo of your ace king here depends on your strategy, whether you would check or whether you would bet. You know, if you know that villain's got more hands that he might bet or bluff with, you would check to him. Whereas if you know that you're blocking and blocking them and you should bet to stop him checking back, you would bet with them. I'm just thinking exploitatively. I want to see like, I would never check in because I just think he's going to check back. I don't want to go massive either because, again, he can have king queen and I don't think ace queen calls a large size and it could potentially check turn. But it's tough. Queen 10, queen jack suited, 9s, 10s, jacks are what we're targeting. I would love to see 7 or 8. I think exploitatively at 10nl, I think that's the best thing to do. I don't think checking to check raise or checking to check call is that great at this stake. I would just lead here and I would lead for a small size. That's what I would personally do. I think it targets that range better. Like, going 2/3 here isn't a disaster, but it's like you've got to get called by like king jacks of spades that didn't like bluff the turn after you check. And I think population bluffs more than you think they do. So I'd probably go a little bit smaller on that river. Also, we don't do it in versus king queen, and we keep calls like queen jack and ace queen and like jacks in there as well. So table 1, we've got top set here. Oh, there's so many interesting hands. That's why these videos are taking a bit longer. So I will skip through this. I apologize for this being longer than I wanted to be. Raise under the gun, hijack call, easy squeeze, obviously. What did we do? We flopped top set versus check. We were supposed to be mainly betting here for a small size. If you want to go for an exploitative check back, that's fine. Versus lead, considering you've checked back and you block diamonds, diamond bluffs on the turn, I would be mostly calling and then betting big on rivers. That's what I'd be doing. Okay. 6-7 was already there. Ace 9 improves, I suppose that's about it. He shouldn't really have that. The way this has gone, like, I think if you put this through a solver, you're supposed to go massive here or even jam, but I don't think you're going to get called by anything worse. He's just either going to have a hand like a slow played hand, but it's unlikely, or he's just going to do a bunch of folding with like ace 10, ace jack if you jam most of the time. Again, it just comes down exploitatively. I suppose we just bet like 2/3, 3/4 against like the case ace x. And deviate from solver. You're probably supposed to shove, but I think just betting like 2/3, 3/4 against the case ace x is better personally. Let's see what we do. We go for a small size, that's fine. If you think your villain's got more hands, like weaker marginal hands, you're trying to target those, I can get behind that. Let's skip these a bit. Just want to keep these through so we get them done. Open the pocket jacks, button small blind, big blind, okay. Big blind leads, that's fine. They can lead this texture, they should be leading a bit smaller, but fine. Caller raise is okay. Unblocking diamonds. Let's have a look. Versus check, I would either be checking back or betting. I think both are fine. We block jack 8 suited. 6/8 was already there. 10/9 improves. I would be betting this against so many hands. We do bet. We get called. Lovely. Easy check back. Yeah, nicely done. Easy fold. Easy open. We 3-bet the king queen. Okay, let's go with this one. We should be doing a lot of betting on this texture. We should also be sizing up. I think to be fair, I think we should be going big on flop or checking. Big. I think we could probably bet a little bit bigger than this, between 50 and 75, but that's okay. Both sizes. Spades are not great, but we've only got king high. We still have a gut shot. I would be continuing most of my range as a bet for a small size, probably 15 and 16. I'm not a big fan of check because there's not enough hands in his... He doesn't just have flushes. You've only got king, queen here. I would prefer to have a spade, but, blocking flushes. But we still got gut shot, 2 overs. We could put massive pressure on, like, marginal 10, like 8s, 7s, jacks with no spade. We could put massive pressure on those as well. And we can still improve potentially as well. So I'd prefer betting a small size with this candidate rather than checking. As played versus check. I think personally, I would probably follow more of a solver style here and not turn this into a bluff. I don't think this is a good candidate to bluff. We don't have a spade in our hand. We're only blocking some of the 10x. Not much of it, considering he opened and called a 3-bet against the small blind. He shouldn't have a lot of like queen 10 suited, so this block is a little bit less relevant. We block hands like queen jack. As played, it looks like he has a 10 a lot. It looks like he has potentially an overpair, and he can have some flushes. This is up to you whether you want to deviate. I think I would probably just fold here, check fold, and the times I had king queen with a spade as played, I would bet this on the river quite big, like between sort of 60% and pot, something like that. I think, yeah, I'd probably check this and give up, in my opinion. See what we do. We do go for a cheeky size. I think if you're going to bluff, I'd go bigger than this, because you're targeting like 10x, you're targeting like 1 pairs. You're giving them quite a good price, and you're also incentivizing them to potentially attack you. I mean, I know we've only got king high, but I probably would have gone bigger than this. But you take it down, so fine. I'm not thrilled with this candidate or the size personally, but you took it down. But that's a little bit results orientated. But personally, I would have played that a little bit differently. I would have bet big on the between half and big on the flop, which is what you did. I would have continued betting most of my range, including that king queen off for about 1/3 on the turn, and then gone from there personally. And then as played on the river, I would probably just check fold. That's what I would mostly do. If you're going to over bluff, I would have got a bit bigger. As played with the table 1, yeah, easy jam. Let's get that money in with top. Skipping through as we're almost done. Easy fold, easy fold. Easy open king queen suited, take it down. Easy open king 7 suited, bet small with range, love it. Should be overbetting turn, I'd love to see. Check back, not great. Sorry, I don't mean to be nasty. You need to be blasting turns. Like, if we're going to be... Because your range should mostly be checking back. Like, well, not range, sorry, but like this part of your range, king high, does check back strategically, and well done for that. But like, we're exploit focused at 10nl. You should be betting range mostly, just for 1/3 at the micro stakes, and then continuing turn. A large size / overbet would be amazing for you on this turn. Check. I don't like bluffing. We could potentially win on showdown. I don't think we do, but I don't think this guy's going to fold anything which he's check call checking with. So I would like to see a check back. Let's see what we do. We do check back. Do we? Yeah, we do check back and lose to reduce. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, that's fine. Call a small 3-bet with the pocket fours. We just should be folding this flop, especially against this size. Easy. Yeah, lovely. King 8 can be an open. Ace 4 suited. We can call a 3-bet. We do call. Versus turn donk for villain easy fold. And any more hands? The video's about to finish. I don't think there are any more. As a bit of a tell. No, and that's the end of the video. That took longer than I wanted it to, so I apologise, but there were a lot of interesting hands with that one. Well played overall, mate. I think you did really, really, really well. There are a few little things that you could potentially change and look at with the sizings. I think we're open, maybe say a couple of combos we're potentially over-opening, but again, if you know that your villains are over-folding, then fair enough. Yeah, good overall. So, as always, guys, please like, please comment, please subscribe. Join the Discord. Have a look at the GTO Wizard affiliate link down the bottom. If you're interested, you get 10% off your first purchase. And I'll see you tomorrow in the next one. Goodbye.